So I'm muted, therefore you could not hear me. It seems like that's my style, so maybe I'm just gonna make that my thing, and I'll my you guys will recognize me when I'm not when my lips are moving and you can't hear me. So anyways, guys, that was Weird Al Yankovic, white and nerdy in it. I believe that was Donny Osmond in the background, which was a lot of fun. We're trying to bring it to you today. We're excited today because today we have the lovely Kathy O'Brien. But right before we get to Kathy and the beautiful Robert Imbrali, please do us a favor, like, follow, and share. We know we're having trouble with these algorithms, and we have to try to figure a way to get around them. Um, some truthers don't get hit for some reason, and some do. So who knows? We're probably on the naughty list, but that's fine. We're very excited. So let's bring on Robert and Kathy at the same time, and then Robert, I'll have you introduce our guest.
Hey, good to see you, Lewis, and good to see you as well, Kathy. We got to meet a couple of weeks ago in person for the first time. Oh my God, Kathy's just an amazing woman. You're gonna love what she has to bring to the table here. She's always, on the cutting edge of what's going on with people's mental health, and really looking at the whole process of mind control and MK Ultra, and especially PTSD. And we had a conversation about that, and realizing, we're going through a very traumatic time right now. And I really do believe that we're going to see a lot more people needing assistance with PTSD. So Kathy's got a book on PTSD. Kathy, you can tell us all about it. So good to see you again, my friend. How are you?
It's good to see you too. I'm doing good. I'm actually encouraged seeing so many people waking up rather than caving into the imposed traumas. They're fed up with it and wanting to reclaim their lives. So it's encouraging to me to see that aspect of things happening finally.
Oh, what a ride it has been, hasn't it? But I believe you're right. I think we are on the upswing, if you will, or some people will say, the snowball's finally reached the top and it's starting to fall down the other side. So yeah, we're looking at a lot of stuff changing really quickly right now. It's fun to see.
It is. I've waited a lifetime for it, and I've been speaking out for over 35 years. So,
Wow.
that's a radical difference now versus 35 years ago when people had no point of reference at all for mind control. They didn't even know there was a swamp in Washington, D.C. That it's we've come a long way in light of awareness, and awareness is that first necessary step towards positive change. So, I am deeply encouraged.
Yeah, I
How far back do you know that mind control goes? Sorry, Lewis, I just want to get that in there real quick because I had somebody ask me that the other day. Is how far back did it start? Some people are saying it was in the 50s. Some people say no, it was much more before that. Do you have any idea, Kathy, about how far back it goes?
I don't know how far back it actually goes, but here it goes back to Project Paperclip. When we imported the Nazi and fascist scientists into the US in the wake of World War II, they brought the formula for mind control with them, and they began implementing it. The CIA was formed in 1947, right along with the National Security Act, and that allowed for mind control to be used without people really understanding what's going on. Knowledge is our defense against mind control. Truth really does make us free. So, anytime we have secrecy and suppression of truth, like the National Security Act, it allows for manipulation of people on a mass scale because mind control is a sliding scale from the kind of torturous robotic MK Ultra mind control that I experienced on a White House Pentagon level to information control. Because we all formulate our thoughts, our opinions, and ultimately our actions based on what we know. And we need to know that knowledge base has been deliberately altered for a long, long time to keep us looking outside of ourselves to the self appointed, self anointed authority, big government, big pharma, big tech, big cult to cult religion. When in fact, we have all the power within us all along. We just forgot because we've been manipulated and led away from it. So, yeah, it's hard to say how long mind control's around when you consider that sliding scale.
Yeah, it's so true. There's evidence that it went all the way back to the pharaohs, and for sure we've seen through Babylonian black magic, the Khazarian mafia has used it, and then in Rome they tried to perfect it, and then the royals really took it to another level, and then of course it was. Perfected a lot in the 30s, and that's why when it came through Project Paperclip, they pretty much had it nailed. And then they started using more modern drugs, LSD with mixes of cocktails of cocaine at the same time, keep you awake, put you to sleep, try to keep you awake and asleep at the same time while they're doing this crazy stuff. But you got the worst of it. That's for sure. But came through it, which I think is just absolutely spectacular. And to me, you're not just a leader, you're an example of how everybody can find a way to heal.
Well, it's within us to heal. We've been blessed with a resilient body, mind, and spirit all along. We've just forgotten that. We've been giving our power away to these authorities when in fact they only have as much power as we give them or let them steal. We just need to remember who we are and why we're here. But that begins with free thought,
Mm.
because without free thought, we have no free will. And without free will, we don't access that soul expression. Without soul expression, we lose our moral compass. We lose our sense of justice. We lose our ability to see beyond what we're being told and manipulated to see, and without that soul expression, we don't tap into that strength of the human spirit and the infinite power of love. Ultimately, the whole purpose why we're even here, So it's in those regards, it's like a spiritual evolution that's going on. So we've got a mental and a spiritual growth that's happening. It's been imposed on society for a long time, but awareness is key towards waking everybody up, and so we can stop this dark cabal from
Mhm.
manipulating our brilliant minds and lives any further.
Now, I know you coined the phrase, which really resonated with me.
So by that time, people began questioning what in the world is going on, and they started wondering. I think it gave everyone a point of reference for understanding mind control. Up until then, mind control was rampant. It had been used ever since the Kennedy assassination, when the whole nation was traumatized. When we understand the formula for mind control that came over with Project Paperclip, that is the same whether it's of an individual, a nation, or the world, trauma is the basis of it. And the Kennedy assassination traumatized the nation, really the whole world, but definitely the nation. And it was at that point that the media began giving us repetitious um, um, information, telling us the one bullet theory. And anybody who questioned that narrative was considered a conspiracy theorist. The CIA came up with that term right then. And so it was a time when people were traumatized and we lost control of our nation at that time. These perpetrators also brought in the electronic voting machines in the wake of the Kennedy assassination. Those people were so traumatized at the repetition and the fake numbers manipulating their minds that they were doing everything they were told. We were told repeatedly to mask up, social distance, shelter at
Hmm.
home. That's the problem, though. That these perpetrators were so frantic, they made a big mistake telling us to shelter at home because it broke routine patterns. When we break our patterns, we think in new ways. We have to. So, mind control shuts down neuron pathways in the brain. And when they had a shelter at home, it opened neuron pathways in the brain. It opened those neuron pathways because we had to think in new ways. And that's what started people waking up on a mass scale. Now, when the trauma that's been imposed on society and imposed when with the assassination attempt on President Trump, people were already protecting their free thought. And in so many ways, he was quite a leader in that. The trauma happened, and even he stood up,
Hmm.
with the fight, 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 and reminded us all, no, this is not a time to cave in and curl up. This is the time to stand. This is a time to be free and fight this dark cabal that's trying to take over everything. So I'm seeing more of an awakening that sprang from mind control masters. If I have a point of reference for understanding mind control, and again, knowledge is our defense against it.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. So, Robert, you jump in any time, by the way, or because you know me, I'll just keep going. Um,
No, I was just going to say, Lewis. I think you and I had this conversation last week about had the assassination attempt been successful, could you imagine the
Yes.
level of trauma that would have gone through society? So it almost feels like there were multiple reasons to try and pull that off, right, Kathy?
I, I see it that way, absolutely. And the fact that it's the first one covered by mainstream media, they were all
Yeah,
ready to have their big event to reclaim control over the minds of the population. The stage was set, but it didn't happen. Divine intervention is definitely in play, was not meant to happen. And I'm so grateful that it didn't happen. And I think really people, instead of being traumatized, but what was intended to create that brain freeze so their minds could be easily led and manipulated, instead, I think it became more of an awakening and people saw the whole divine intervention aspect. And I think it's created more of a spiritual um, awakening than anything. So it backfired on them, and I'm just so grateful it is. I'm just celebrating that and hoping that people will stay vigilant and all work together to stop any further um, attempts like that from happening. We know that big government's not going to stop the problem for us; they're doing it to us. I think we all
right.
saw that, and it's up to us to all take responsibility for our lives, restore the values and justice in our own communities. That local action has national impact, and ultimately, that's what we need to do in order to protect the sanctity of free thought going forward and to restore some constitutional values of freedom and justice for all.
yeah, absolutely. In fact, in regards to that, Robert, do you have the Unity video queued up? This would be a perfect
I
time
have it. Yeah,
to show it. So I think you know about this, Kathy, but we're gonna show everybody right now.
here we go.
There it is, Kathy. I think that's gonna be epic.
I wish I had seen more of that video right there and could have heard it. It wasn't playing on my end, but
Oh, really?
um,
Okay, we'll get.
yeah, no doubt it will be epic. And with everything you do, everything you put together like that always works that way for us all.
Yeah, it's all guided as you know. So, but
Yes.
I'm sure we'll see you at a few of these. So we're going to go to 50 cities in 33 days, and 30, we picked 33 because we're going to take back our numbers. We're not going to give the cabal any power over those crazy numbers that they like and all the games that they play and all the spell casting. Nope, sorry. We're going to take it ourselves. So it's going to be pretty good. It starts in September, ends in October. So about a month, 50 cities, but we're gonna figure a way to pull it off. It'll be good.
I'm sure it'll be amazing. And unity is exactly what we're all needing right now. So that's just perfect.
Cheers. You know, it's interesting. Every time you're on our show, our Rumble channel gets attacked, and it's getting,
Rumble?
yeah, even Rumble, absolutely. In fact, right now, I think we're looking at the live numbers. They're about 2.5 times lower than they usually are at this exact time, and it froze at a certain number about live for the last 15 minutes. So it happens every time. There's a couple of guests that it happens with, but you're one of them that every single time. But that doesn't mean we're not going to keep bringing you on because we don't play the games. Now, when you Rumble, we talked to the CEO of Rumble. He claims it's an outside attack. He's admitting it's happening. He just doesn't know what to do about it, according to him.
Wow. But well, I can't imagine what the censorship would be on talking terms of solution. I understand more why they invoke national security on my 1995 testimony, Transformation of America, and why Mark Phillips and I were so heavily censored when we were speaking out in the early 90s and uh, showing this dark cabal, what this New World Order agenda is all about, what George Bush really meant when he was talking about the New World Order, and that was different. They were scared of that truth coming out, but the truth is out. Everybody knows it now. So what are they? It's silly.
Yeah.
It's just silly. They're so desperate, and it's over.
Yeah, I think that's it. They're trying everything they can, but they know I believe it's very they know they've already lost. It's just how long can they extend it is what it feels like to me.
Yeah, exactly. And then by talking about what mind control is comprised of and arming people with the knowledge that is their defense against it, it's like the once you know a magic trick, it breaks the spell.
Hmm.
It's that same kind of thing. And I think they're afraid they're going to just lose more and more control, but they've already lost so much of it. They can't get it back because once people understand mind control, they're not going to let it happen again. They start recognizing it when it's
Hmm.
being imposed around them. We saw the efforts to traumatize the nation and really traumatize the whole world with this assassination attempt. And I think it's just got people now where they saw the divine intervention and had a spiritual experience instead. I mean, this is such an amazing time to be alive and see people waking up and taking back their power um, and seeing like what you're doing, seeing people unite because that is really what we're needing now is for people to realize that we've been deliberately divided for a long time. But once we reclaim our free thought and our soul expression, it's on that level that we naturally unite anyway.
Yeah, agreed. So from a let's call it a esoteric perspective, because I am a tinfoil hat wearing truther. Um, what's your thoughts in regards to things like uh, well, I'll tell you my belief system. Hillary Clinton, I believe, has been taken off the map because the ones they roll out now don't look anything like her whatsoever. Um, do you believe that to be true? And if so, would you think those are the good guys or the bad guys that are putting in the doubles?
I don't believe that it's happened quite that way because people wouldn't be learning anything from it, and we need to see some justice. We need to see Hillary Clinton prosecuted for what she's done. We need to see some justice in this country. So I don't understand why this would happen, that way. And yet there are so many other aspects of things that have come into play since the days when I was used on the White House Pentagon level, when I was in DC. They had so many technological advancements then. They were doing so much genetic manipulation and alteration all the way back then. Who knows what they have today? Who knows what they're capable of? We had um, the doubles for the president or whatever back then, but I really think it has gone to the next level now, and you know, regardless of what has or hasn't happened with Hillary Clinton, the fact remains that we need to see some justice. We need to understand what happened. We need to look back and see where the roots of this problem are and uproot it once and for all, because just picking the rosebud off the plant is not going to hurt the plant. We gotta uproot the whole thing
Hmm.
so that we can get those roots out of the swamp drain and drain this swamp once and for all.
Yeah, I think publicly holding these people accountable is going to be extraordinary for our healing, which is paramount for us to move forward for sure.
That's the funding the new world order my whole life. So, that who knows where the money really comes from, but the media can manufacture any perception, any lie that they want, and ultimately, I think the greatest thing that we can do is just start taking back control of our own lives and our own communities, shut off our devices, get out in society, talk with each other eye to eye, heart to heart, soul to soul, start making a difference in the community and restore some justice. It's going to take all of us to do that because we proved in 2016 you can't have one man go into that corrupt government situation and drain the swamp from the top down. It takes all of us doing our part, draining it from the bottom up. That's the only way it can really be done, is for us to take responsibility for our own lives again, get big government out of our lives, start restoring it not only to our communities, but back to a state level. And we're going to have a little more sensibility start coming back into our lives, because we got to, common sense is way too uncommon. We got to restore that and get that back.
Lewis always says the nano fixes the micro and the micro fixes the macro. And I think he's absolutely right about that. And that's where we got to start. We got to start with our individual, right? We've got to start with us, with singular, and then your
Yes.
spouse, your best friend, your family, and then it moves out from there to the local community, and that's going to change it. That's where it's got to go. You're exactly right, Kathy.
It starts within. And once we reclaim our free thought and know our own truth again, remember our purpose and why we're here, that's where we unite. That's where everything starts to make
Yep.
sense again. That's what's
Yep.
going to make all the difference in the world, is individually, one by one, people waking up. The great awakening is within each and every one of us individually, and collectively, it's making all the difference in the world. But it starts within. It starts within each and every one of us.
Yep. And that's why Lewis is so on point with doing the Unity tour. That's exactly what's needed right
Yes.
now. We need to figure it out because, the unity in the past has been, well, as long as you believe what I believe and you see the world the way I see it, we can be friends. Otherwise, get out of my life. Right? That's the way it's been. And we've got to stop that.
Well, when we know our own truth, we can discern truth around us, and
Hmm.
and start realizing the manipulations and seeing how we're being deliberately divided and conditioned to think that differences are something bad. That um, these these cultural differences that we all share, which has just been so phenomenal, making America what it is. All of a sudden those cultural differences are racism, and they're playing with these words and distorting perception, when in fact cultural difference is what makes us so strong, because that gives us more vastness. We can all learn from each other. We can grow together. It doesn't help if we're all just exactly the same, and it begins with remembering who we are and why we're here.
Lewis, can you go into a little bit of what the genesis was for the Unity tour? Where did that literally come from? Was it one of those moments where it was just given to you, guided information, or is it just
Well,
something that came up?
100%, but I think it derives from my frustration. So my frustration was I was watching a lot of what are called patriots and truthers um, going at each other, and they were growing their accounts based on the drama instead of based on a positive message, or just showing the truth. And I said, well, that division I asked myself, I go, what would the enemy want? That's it. That's what the
Right.
enemy wants. The enemy would just love us to be completely divided. So I just asked, as I always do, as I said, what's the solution? And the solution, I don't think, comes from me. It comes from God, and God said, you need to do a unity tour and create a basic structure of things that people can absolutely agree on. And if people deny those four pillars, which I'll explain in a second, then what's going to happen is those that are uh, opposed to that literally expose themselves. We don't even have to expose them, right? And I believe this is going to be amazing. I have a feeling that we're going to have convoys following us all over the nation. I believe there'll be Trump flags there. I know there's going to be music because we're setting that up. A lot of hugs, crying, kisses, and a lot of healing going on. But the four pillars. So if you take the word unite and you bring it from top to bottom with the U starting first, it's united. We will end, and the first one is New World Control. That's the N. And then you go to the I, and the I is illegal immigration. The question I ask everybody, and we're going to approve literally next week. We have an email going out to virtually every truther that's out there, every podcaster, every patriot, saying, can you unite around these four pillars? And all you have to do is it's we're not making money on this. In fact, who knows how much money we'll lose on this? It's free. So just all you have to do is either show up, say you're going to show up, uh, show a video, interview one of us. Let's bring everybody together under these four pillars. Let's put all our division aside and let's take this over the finish line. Because I believe united, we the people will win, and we can take this over the finish line. We just have that one last push to go, and then you know what? After that, guess what? Let's figure out if this difference is important, or this one, or let's have that debate afterwards. But let's take care of the cabal first. We need to eliminate them, put this in God's hands, in my opinion. And then after that, we can have these little debates about who did this or who did that. Or maybe, guess what? It may not even matter after that. So that's what's so powerful, I believe, of what we're doing. And it is God guided. I like many people give me credit. The only credit I should do is that I'm open to listen to that message. Other than that, it's not, there's not much else going on up here, I got to tell you.
Stop it. I'm going to have your wife throw a shoe at you in a minute.
But you listen and then you take action,
Right.
and you make it happen. You do get it. You're organizing it. It's phenomenal. It's what it takes. It's what everybody needs to be doing, is paying attention to that and taking action on it. Yeah, and we need to unite. Those are important reasons for uniting. It seems to me that the children alone are enough for the whole world to unite
Yep.
and take down this dark cabal that's targeting our children. Because the whole, not only a mind control agenda, it's a depopulation agenda.
Mhm.
We got to stop this. We need to protect our children. Our children are the ones targeted, and there's nothing that I can think of more important than uniting to protect the children. They need us to do it now. They can't wait for us to clean up um, this injustice system. The FBI and the CIA and big government. They can't wait for that to be cleaned up. That's going to take too long. They need us to unite now, right now, today, and start making the necessary positive change in light of love and compassion and care for each other, and uniting together to do it.
Yeah. I truly believe that the timeline is completely controlled by we the people. So the
It's
more we get,
perfect timing.
yep, the more we get active, the faster this thing's going to be done.
Yeah,
Just going to dial back
definitely.
the ego a little bit, you know?
Yeah, I think it's coming around. I can tell you, I've talked to a couple patriots lately that I believe had massive egos before, and they seem to be a little bit more humble now. So that's divine intervention in itself, right there, I believe.
I think there's also a huge effort. I wrote a blog and posted it on my website, about the infiltrators that are coming on into the patriot community, but above all, into the survivor community. There's so many people waking up. There's so many survivors out there coming forward. Experience, their mind control experience, or whatever. There's so many of them coming forward that there's being a massive infiltration movement going along in there to discredit the true survivors, and to also have so many people start pointing a finger at the very ones who are making a positive difference and
Mhm.
saying they're the bad ones, you know. And so we've got this huge infiltration going on, but I've been watching that happen all across the patriot community among podcasters and everything else for some time. But this new massive movement among the survivors, because now people are concerned for the victims. They want to help the survivors. They want to make a difference. So that has definitely been infiltrated, and it's clearly a CIA psyop to me. I see it so clearly. And yet it's something that we need to be aware of and be sharp and have our discernment and not buy into every story that comes along. Again, when we know our own truth from within, then we have our discernment again to recognize truth in others.
Mm.
And we're needing that now more than ever. And it's at that level when we know our own truth that we naturally unite. So, again, what a perfect time and a perfect opportunity for this tour that you're putting together. It's just perfect.
Yeah, we're excited. Go ahead, Robert.
There was videos we're starting to see. They're popping up in X on Telegram. People in the LBGT community, they're recognizing that they are being used,
Hmm.
Yes.
and they're balking now, and they're stepping away from all of that, and they're saying, no, this isn't what we stand for. It's not what we're about. Someone's taken over control of this and brought it in a direction that they never wanted it to go in, and they said they've never experienced so much hatred. Because now they're just pushing it in everybody's faces, there was a gay fellow who made a video, and he said, if I had a kid, the last thing I would do is send him to a school to sit there with a drag queen telling stories. So I don't want that. I don't want my kids exposed to that. So that's not their agenda. That's the
Right.
agenda that's forced on them. And they're now waking up to that. This is huge. I think this is a big, big turning point for us where, they're waking up to this fact and saying, no more, we're out, which is great. I love to see that.
And the whole division is starting to fall apart as people
Hmm.
are waking up and remembering who they are, and it's making a huge difference um, in this whole Great Awakening movement. But the cabal, having been around these perpetrators, there's such a low vibration, dark energy force, and that's their energy, that's their vibration, that's what they feed off. That's why they create so much fear and trauma and hatred and division, is because that's their vibration, that's their energy. It's not ours. Ours
Right.
is love. When we remember who we are and why we're here and gather that strength of spirit, it's love. And that love is so strong, it's such a high vibration that it's game over. That's where we win and where they lose. So they're frantically trying to keep us divided so that um, we we don't keep that vibration so high. But here comes the Unite tour, where they help everybody keep that vibration high. It's
Yep.
like the light overcoming the dark. The dark can't creep in on the light. It's the light what is such a great frequency, and it's exposing all the darkness. We're starting to see exactly how they've been dividing us, and more people are waking up as that reality comes to light.
So
Yep,
good to see that. So
absolutely
good to see that.
beautiful.
Yeah. Wow.
Kathy, we appreciate you so much. Any last momentous words that you'd like to leave everybody with?
Well, this is definitely our time to shine. It's time for us to gather that strength of the spirit and align with the divine, because the divine is absolutely, miracles are unfolding all around us, and we're seeing them all the time, and we're seeing, you know, these wonderful opportunities to unite. So this is our time. Let's do it. Let's live the love we are and keep shining the light of truth and reach out to each other with compassion and care.
Kathy, tell us about your website too and what's there, and tell us about your book as well.
Yes, my website is trance-formation.com, TRANCE hyphen formation.com. neumi.com. All my books are there, my movie, the PTSD, Time to Heal, which everyone can use to reclaim and retain their free thought, is available on my website for everybody to have, um, in ebook form. And
I've
I've
got a
got my
signed
blog
copy. I've got a
post
hard copy that's signed. I'm really blessed.
yeah. Well, it's intended to be in hard copy because ultimately we need to get away from our devices and just pick up that pen and paper, and
Yep.
and reclaim the simplicity and the quiet. So that hard copy is really really important, and I'm glad you had it, and I'm so glad to have been there with you too in San Diego to be able to share it in person and have a hug. You guys are
Hey,
wonderful. I
you give the
appreciate you
best hugs,
so much.
Kathy, out of everyone. You get the best hugs, no question.
She does. She absolutely ever does. So the people are loving you in our chat. We have a live chat going here. My buddy Alan Fountain says you were one of his inspirations. You and Roseanne actually for him to start pronouncing the truth, and he does a wonderful job with
Wow.
that. Somebody in Florida and need to be in Florida said, "I love you, Kathy." Manny says, "Love Kathy." I mean, just people just absolutely appreciate. Denise, of course, says, "Love Kathy." Um, Love your message. You're a beautiful soul. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And we could probably do 45 minutes just on all the wonderful comments, but
That's so sweet.
they really appreciate you. Robert and I definitely do. My wife says hi, and so
Oh,
so great to see you, Kathy.
you too. Thank you.